Good morning, George, Fat Ninja Food Forest. I've gone out this morning and collected plant material for the Korean natural farming. We're doing the FPJ and the FFJ. So the FFJ fermented fruit juice is actually flowers for us right now. We have some early stage gooseberries and other fruits from around the yard mixed in with a bunch of flowers. And here we have faster growing weeds and plant material from around the yard. Things like ivy and comfrey and motherwort and sochan and nettles. Did I say comfrey? So a bunch of things that are just going to have that environment on those bacteria, the things that we want to promote in this, we want to catch in this ferment. So now I'm going to take these and I cut these down real small. I take scissors and chop them up in here. Not real small, the size of your thumb is fine. For using larger fruit, sometimes I use squash or different large, trying to think, water, any kind of fruit you have, anything you want to use for that fermented fruit that's a larger fruit, we cut it into chunks. I was actually thinking butternut squash I use sometimes. That works well too. Pumpkin works really well. So I'm cutting these into smaller pieces. I've weighed this out already. I know I have about 9 ounces in here, about a half pound, just over a half pound. So now I'm going to mix this with equal parts brown sugar. I'll put it on the scale and zero it. Here we can see the one I've just finished, fermented fruit juice. Another fermented plant juice. This is from last year, right before the hurricane. Okay. And the mix on. I know it's this whole bag because I used the other half on that last one. Might need some on the next one too. Oh, geez. How's your own? That's it. There's 2 pounds, not 1 pound. Can't do math anymore. So I've gone slightly over. I got 9.8. I think I had 9.1. And it doesn't matter. It's close enough. I mean, too perfect. Let's call that good. So I'm also going to put a little brown sugar cap on there. Some things aren't quite small enough in here yet. But now I go ahead and mix this all up. Pushing it together, massaging it together, making sure it gets pushed in, trying to get all that surface area covered. That's why we've chopped it up into smaller pieces. So we want more surface area for that brown sugar to cover. What we're doing is we're fermenting it this way. So sometimes we ferment in an oxygen-free environment or a low oxygen environment. We'll do jadam, which is another form of Korean natural farming. There's the sun, I believe. And that's where I'll take all these weeds and I set them in a 5-gallon bucket of water and put them underwater. I put a stone on top and I wait till that stinks real good. Then I know that's happened. It's pulled all that nutrient out of there. This fermentation is happening through osmosis. We're taking this brownish sugar and we're covering it and starving it of oxygen and it's going to pull it out into that wet material when we're done. We'll filter out that plant material. Going to save this for the end. And we'll have this left behind. When we look at this under a microscope, it has a tremendous amount of those rod bacteria and different bacteria that we want in a dormant state. We use this as a very low amount. And that's one of the keys to using this. When I used to do it with the jadam style and ferment underwater, I thought I was smarter than the people out there that said don't do it. And I sprayed it all over plants here and there, used it in different ways. And if you spray that without diluting it enough, you will promote disease on your plants. Just the opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to use it in a very small amount, these anaerobes. As Chris Trump says, Master Cho says, get it down in the ground. So we're going to dilute it heavy with water so that water carries it down into the ground. Or we're going to use it as a foliar spray. We're diluting this 1,000 to 1. That's a lot. It seems like a minuscule little bit. So for 5 gallons, I put in a couple of teaspoons. I don't know the exact math. I should have had that ready. We'll talk about it on Saturday, though. So again, I massage this all together till it's well massaged. And I take it and I pack it down in this jar. I didn't bring the vinegar out. And that'll be the final step. Pack it in the jar. Make sure most of the oxygen is pushed out of here. Trying to get more and more of that oxygen out, packing it down in there, and then I'm going to take and put a brown sugar cap on top of it as well, So another small sprinkle of brown sugar on top. And then I will pause the camera for a minute and go in and get a lid, some, drawing a blank, some vinegar, and a rag, and wipe the top of this down. It's going to be sticky and nasty. So now we're going to cover with brown sugar. Just a light capping. Again, starving it of oxygen. Pushing this down. And just a small 1/4 inch cap or so. I don't need to push that down hard. I'm just covering it. Try and cover all the plant material. There we go. I'm actually going to pause you. There, now I'm more prepared. So I have this vinegar, wiping the lid down, the inside a bit. So we've capped it with brown sugar. We've pushed all the air out of it. We've mixed it with equal parts brown sugar, trying to cover all the plant material. Cut it into small pieces, exposing as much surface area as we could. We don't use paper towels in this house, but we have a few from camping. It's convenient because that works good. Chris Trump is where I get a lot of this from. And he says if you use a cloth towel on there, a lot of times you'll get dust and debris in there. So first we'll look at these. You can see some of the flower bits in here. This is just plant material. So fermented fruit, flowers, and fermented plant juice. FPJ, FFJ, FPJ. Fermented fruit juice, fermented plant juice. That's going to break down over the next 5 to 7 days and be suspended in this brown sugar liquid that's left over. It doesn't smell like brown sugar. I haven't tasted it, but it doesn't taste like brown sugar either. It's a little different. But that's been since September last year. Again, we use this as a very small amount, a tiny, tiny amount per gallon. I'll share that when I share the video. 1,000 to 1. We can all do that math. However many milliliters are in a gallon. Don't know what else I want to say. I guess this is where I say change can be better than a holiday. Come see us this Saturday. We'll have a look around. We'll harvest these. We're also going to talk about a few of the other methods. One of the great ones is the lactic acid bacteria, the lab extraction. We'll also talk about making a vinegar, and that vinegar will come from the leftover material from this as well. So the leftover material we have from this, when we drain it, there's going to be all this plant material and the brown sugar. We'll put 2 parts water for each part of that we have left over and let it set. And that becomes a really tasty vinegar. We did it last year with our pumpkin. And I got to tell you, I'd almost go buy pumpkins just to make that vinegar to put on our salad as a salad dressing. It's just wonderful. And then for the lab, the lactic acid bacteria, we use a whole milk with that. I'll talk more about that, but we wash some rice. We let that rice water sit for a bit. It'll get to smell a few days, depending on the temperature. Then we put 10 parts milk to 1 part that. And then it goes in and collects that lactic acid bacteria. There's more lactic acid bacteria out there than it outnumbers on our skin than our own skin cells. It's early in the morning. I'm not going to talk too much about it. So we're going to catch that lactic acid bacteria. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing to use in our gardens. The leftover from that is a beautiful cheese we make out of that as well. So getting multiple uses out of these things, creating a wonderful fertilizer to make a healthy garden for us, and doing it with simple things we can collect in our garden other than the brown sugar. I'm George, Fat Ninja Food Forest. Change better on a holiday. Hope to see you Saturday.